What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Shaw and Steele Show, Rivalry Week. It always feels like the biggest weekend of the season, and once again, it delivered. So we're going to recap all the crazy stuff that just went down. Steele Chambers, how you doing, my man?
I'm just excited to get all that stress off my fucking back after this Saturday. So let's just get into it.
I know. I tell you what, Steele, there hasn't been too many games that I've watched that really made me feel like good and just a good feeling. And
Mhm.
watching Ohio State go out there and dominate that team up north just really, you've been through it longer than I went through. I went through it for 3 years, you're 5 years, but we both know what it's like to live and breathe that matchup every day of the week, every day of the year, really. So to see them boys finally deliver and get it done, that hit me, and I know it hit you. What were your initial thoughts watching our Buckeyes whoop up on that team up north?
I mean, first quarter, I was getting a little nervous after that first pick by Julian saying, and then after that, him and the entire offense, they really calmed down.
Yeah,
He went out there, played his usual ball. Michigan, they did a good job containing those receivers for a little bit, and then at some point, the dam broke, and then they just couldn't stop them. And then Ohio State defense, great per usual, let up a little bit on the run game, but once the game got started, that Michigan offense wasn't doing shit. Bryce Underwood cannot do anything in the air. And then once that third quarter starting, I mean, my heart started to slow down a little bit. So with
yeah,
my girlfriend, my dad, and all my buddies started calling me, asking me how I was doing because anyone who plays in this game realizes even if you're 2, 10, 20 years removed from this, you're always going to have that feeling of just God, I just want my team to win. And
yeah.
once it was kind of in the clear, I finally could breathe a little bit.
Did you see the video of Josh Perry, by the way?
Yep, it's over at CBS. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm talking with him later today.
yeah,
I'm
dude.
excited to talk to him
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
he's the man. He's the man. But he was trusting out, and that kind of is the perfect example of you talking about. It doesn't matter how far you are removed from the game; it's still going to hit. But something I want to kind of bring up is how much of the first part of that game, because it did not get off to a good start. Do you think was a little bit of nerves with the game, or do you think it was just kind of the ball was bouncing their way, or just really game plan? Ohio State needed to kind of figure out, make some adjustments a little bit early. What was kind of what did you see? What did you think was a contributing factor
Um,
to that rough start?
naturally, I was just stressed because big game, and then within the first two plays, there's a pick. But then looking at the entire game plan, realized that Coach Day he wanted to come out firing. He talked about that like
He took a
10
shot on
seconds
the
before
first
the
play.
kickoff, and that's exactly what shot on first play, and then go ball Jeremiah that got picked. He was trying to throw back shoulder, but Michigan had a hell of a defense on him. But that just kind of showed the confidence he had on offense. And then you see it even on defense. I think there was a penalty on like a 2nd and 10, a holding penalty. Instead of backing him up 10 yards, making it 2nd and 15, he said, fuck it. It's 3rd and 5. I trust my defense to go out there and make a stop. So
Yeah,
it's just that kind of mindset that kind of just you saw it throughout the entire game. And even in that first quarter, whenever things weren't bad, and then they made their adjustments, they got back on track, and then they ended up just kicking ass. So overall, whenever you look at all 4 quarters, it was a fantastic game plan all around.
yeah. And I tell you what, the thing that stood out to me the most, I know he gave the game ball to the entire defense, and man, they did fantastic job. Gave up about 100 plus rushing yards in the first half, but -8 in the second half, so totally turned it around. But the unit I would have gave the game ball to is that offensive line. I mean, that offensive line was doing some
Mm-hmm.
serious work. Saying didn't get touched all game, and they were opening up some big holes with Bo Jackson, who man, that's a breakout game for him for sure. So, what did you kind of see with the offensive line and Bo Jackson, Steele?
Yeah, those guys just look like complete animals out there. I mean, you've got Luke Montgomery, got guys like Carson Hinzman in that middle that were just moving bodies the entire game. And you really like to see that because Michigan, the last 4 years, every single game they have beat us in the rushing battle, and that's usually a big determining factor in who wins these games. And you just show just after 2 or 3 quarters that Michigan defensive line, they were just getting pushed back 3, 4, 5 yards every single play. And I mean, I just love to see it. Just beating them at their own game is something that Ryan Day, he's been preaching for years. And to see him actually do that is just huge. And the running game wasn't like that crazy. They just ran power and counter probably 40 times and it worked.
Exactly. No, and this game always comes down to the trenches, and that's something up north is always talked about and taken pride in, and we really dominated that area. And I know that's what Coach Day has been wanting to do for the last couple of years, and he finally gets it done. And next, I want to talk about Julian Sand, man. That dude is as composed as it gets. We talked about Dante Moore a lot about Oregon over the season. Just his kind of that like cold mentality, doesn't get high, doesn't get too low, just an assassin like. And Julian saying he showed that he throws the early pick and then comes back. He throws the bomb to Jeremiah Smith on 4th down. He throws the bomb to Cornell Tate. I mean, just overall 233 yards, 3 touchdowns. Is this guy at the top of your Heisman list after this weekend?
Yeah, first of all, you gotta give thanks to the O-line again because they kept him clean the entire game. They talked about it during the game, but I mean, it was impressive because Michigan, they're great at bringing pressure and getting a lot of pressure on the QB. But they keep talking about Heisman moments, and now he hasn't had one, and they keep on bringing up Mendoza against Penn State. But I see this entire game as his Heisman moment. I mean,
Yeah.
he goes out there, second play, he throws a pick. Ann Arbor is absolutely rocking. It's the biggest game of the year. And then after that, he comes back. He goes like 20 for 24, 2 or 3 touchdowns, 200 plus yards, and he just has the stellar performance after such a rough start. I just don't see how you can not have him at the top of the Heisman list after that. I mean, I get it that Mendoza had to go and win a game, but you can't penalize Julian Sayin for just not having been in any close games.
Yeah.
So I personally would give it to Sayin, but I don't know how New York is going to view it. But
And I tell you what, that guy, he earned my respect tremendously because not too many people can go throw the pick on the second pass of the game and bounce back from that. I mean, that takes a really, really strong dude mentally to get through that. And he delivered. And if we can talk about the Heisman, we'll get more into it on Thursday. But I think after this weekend, it comes down to up in Indy in the Big Ten championship with him and Mendoza. Whoever wins and performs better is probably going to get it. So Julian Sayin definitely has positioned himself after that in prime position to go get it done. Now, okay, up north, they like to make excuses. When we lose, we on the chin. When they lose, they got to make excuses.
You're taking it on the chin?
All right, Steele, come on. Lock in, man. Lock in.
Sorry.
So 4th and 5, Jeremiah Smith, a nasty route, catches the ball, bobbles it a little bit. Looked like he regained control to me. That's a touchdown. What did you think? Did you think that was close, or do they have a right to be a little mad about it?
Yes, by the rules and the law of the land, that was a touchback. But that's a stupid rule. Like, I get it if he straight up fumbled, but just a little bobble whenever he clearly caught it and scored, like that's ridiculous to take that touchdown away and then to completely flip the game, give them the ball at the 25, 20-yard line or whatever. That would just be idiotic. I almost said a bad word. But where they can't complain is the fact that even after that, I get it, it would have been a huge momentum boost, but even after that, Underwood had 60 yards in the air.
3 yards.
They couldn't do anything on offense. The defense wasn't going to change no matter what.
Yes.
And then Ohio State, they were still clicking on all cylinders. Like, if it was a closer game and you showed a little bit more fight, I understand pointing to that moment, but you got beat the entire game. You cannot just say, oh, we would have won if this play didn't happen or went a certain way. That's a stupid argument. You can't
that's what I was saying. It's like, okay, even if it was a touchback, Ohio State was whooping their ass. Like, that wasn't close. That was a dominant game. I don't care what anybody says. That was a dominant performance, and I don't think it would have mattered. I think they would have went 3 and out, settled for a field goal, and that would have been probably it if that's how it went. So, it didn't make a difference in the game, in my opinion. And then 2 more things here. Coach Day. Give me some words on Coach Day. I know that's your guy right there, man.
Love the dude, man. I mean, I said it earlier. The fact that he had a second and 5, had a holding penalty, declined it, said, nope, we're just going to take 3rd and 5. I trust my defense. And then his game plan, going out there saying he just wants to let it fly and really just sticking true to that plan. He came out with a vengeance, and you love seeing him get that win because even though he had that national championship last year, I just know inside he's been thinking about all the shit he got after that game against Michigan last year where he lost, had people coming for his head. I mean, he had to hire security at his house.
Yeah.
For his own fans.
Right.
So I get, for the most part, those are just bad people in general. That group, that 1% of Ohio State fans. But now, I mean, what are people going to say?
What are they going
I
to
mean,
say?
they're clearly the number one team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're clearly the number one team. There's no questions about them anymore. They show that they can run the ball. That's been our question all year long. Bo Jackson goes out, kills it. Offensive line kills it. Have the passing game. The defense is outstanding. So if I'm Coach Day, I'm looking back. I'm thinking, okay, I want to get my guys focused in again because there's still plenty of big games left. But I'm feeling really good about my squad.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about the year of 2025, he's won a national championship. He's 16-0. He just beat up North. And you still see people who find a way to talk trash about him. It just makes no sense. Now, something that I think I've been thinking since the game is it does feel like, Michigan, they went on a nice little run. 4 years, it was a nice run. They got their national championship. But it feels like we're about to go on another 7 or 8 year kind of run. Our program just really feels like it's in a good spot. Or Ohio State's program really feels like it's in a good spot. It feels like it's trending the right direction. And I'm not confident in Michigan's program moving forward with more. So what do you think? Do you think it's going to be back and forth, or do you think Ohio State's going to dominate this great matchup for the next 10 years?
I mean, anything could happen. It could go back and forth, but I personally think that we're going to go on a little bit of a run. You see it. I don't think a lot of people have trust in Moore, and they've got great talent over there. Their freshman class is pretty good with Marsh and Underwood and everything, but something about the guarding the M thing made me think, okay, like we are going to win this game for the next 10 years. But that was stupid.
Dude, it was the picture and the picture of them celebrating, of Ohio State in the crowd celebrating with their fans, just enjoying the win, celebrating, and then those guys from up north just lined up watching them celebrate. It's snowing, you just got your ass beat, and you decide to line up and watch them celebrate. I mean, that was just a bad look all the way around.
That looked terrible. I mean, you're just standing there, and in their minds, they probably thought that they're being tough. Oh, like, oh, we're here to protect the M. You guys didn't protect your O last year. Like, dude, shut the fuck up.
I
You
know
look
you
like idiots right now.
You just got your ass beat.
How about spending 60 minutes protecting your end zone? Protect
Exactly.
something else. I mean, you had Brutus go and violate your end zone. Dotted the I, crossed out the M, and you did nothing about it except a couple grown men getting on their hands and knees in the freezing snow and wiping it off. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, no, that was bad all the way around. Well, the good news is those boys in Columbus get some gold pants, and I know they're feeling real good about that, but they got to lock back in quickly, which we'll hit on Thursday. Okay, let's move on. You ready?
One last thing. 20 plays, 16 runs, 12 minutes burned off the clock.
That's
dominant.
The best. That's the best drive all year long.
Dominant.
That's the best drive all year long by any team.
That's the best drive. That's the best drive in Coach Day's career.
Yes,
because he did exactly what they've been doing to us for years, and he enjoyed every single play.
Coach Mick's going to be Coach Mick probably still has a smile on his face after that drive.
If they go and win a natty, they're gonna run every single play of that drive over and over again.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Okay, let's move on to the USC Trojans. Taking on the UCLA Bruins. They get the crosstown battle. They win it. Wasn't clean, but I kind of expected this, Steele, and I'll hit on this real quick and see if you want to add anything. Coming off a devastating loss to Oregon, and you remember I talked about this at USC. Some of the things they struggle with in the past is if they lose a tough game, they kind of go off the deep end. And I was worried about that. We see Lemon and Lane. I guess they were late to a couple stuff. They get suspended for the first quarter, come out a little bit sloppy. Special team, terrible performance. Carries up from Oregon, carries over into the first half of that. Blocked field goal, missed field goal. And then in the second half, King Miller on the ground game. The guy's been unbelievable for us. Really turned into a workhorse. And then Mekhi Lemon, he's the jump starter. He catches an explosive touchdown, gets a nice little punt return, explosive punt return, hurdles the guy. And from then on, our defensive line was hunting, and it wasn't really. We were the better team, and we pulled away when we needed to in that second half. And I just think once again, Steele, that I know you're not the biggest USC guy, but kind of being a part of that program, seeing how Coach Riley's been growing, and seeing the new facilities and everything they got going on over there. finish this year 9-3. They're talking about the Alamo Bowl against Texas, which would be massive. Beat Texas 10-3. That's USC versus Texas. We'll get more into that, but that would be a huge. If you're not going to go to the playoffs, that would be a big bowl game. You look like something.
I don't know. Alamo Bowl, that's cool and all, but hook 'em.
Oh my God. Okay, so if that happens, beat them 10-3, get the number 1 recruiting class. It's playoff or bust next year. Steele, do you want to add anything about my Trojans, man?
No, I don't.
Okay, nothing. Come on, give us a little something.
No, I mean, you had your top 2 players, the guys that are supposed to set an example for the team, show up late to something and miss the first quarter. I mean, what kind of culture you got over there?
Okay. Yeah, I can't defend that. I can't defend that. That's bad. All right, let's just move on. It's been a good year overall, but still a lot of things to clean up. Okay, going to the Iron Bowl. Alabama, Auburn. Alabama finally developed some sort of run game, and they win the turnover battle, and that's the recipe for a big-time win. Steele, what did you see with this one?
Really weird because Auburn, one of the top rush defenses in all of the SEC, and Alabama that's their one thing that they haven't been able to do since the first month of the year, and that's run the ball. And somehow Jam Miller in that running game, they got going against this Auburn defense. But at the same time, Alabama just wasn't clicking. I don't know what it was, but there was tons of pressure on Ty Simpson. He just wasn't in sync with his receivers. And they put up some points on the board, but for the most part, you just don't see this Alabama offense really looking like themselves. And it's a bad time to be doing this at the end of November, going into December, where you're going to be playing the SEC championship. Hopefully, you're going to be playing again, maybe possibly get a bye, have some big games on the horizon. But Alabama's just kind of trending in the wrong direction right now, and I don't like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, some of that stuff you kind of saw early in the season with Florida State. We're seeing as of late a lot of pressure on Simpson. He's kind of having to run for his life a little bit, and I'm with you now. Steele, they're sitting at what, number 10 right now. Let's say they lose the SEC championship, they're done.
No, you can't fault a team for going to the SEC championship and then losing, especially if it's a team they've already beat in Georgia.
Well, Steele, back in the day, we were sitting at number 4. The USC Trojans were sitting at number 4, and I remember the Ohio State Buckeyes held down by Tommy Eichenberg, Caden Stover, and Steele Chambers, sitting at number 5. We go to the Pac-12 championship. You all are sitting at home. You're watching championship weekend. I'm playing in championship weekend.
That was the Pac-12. That's different. They're in the SEC championship.
Next thing you know, we lose. So now you're saying championship games shouldn't be held against you?
In this 12-team playoff picture in the SEC and the Big Ten, yeah, it shouldn't fault you. You guys made it in the Pac-12. Like, that's completely different.
Well, hold on now. The Pac-12.
I'm sorry.
The Pac-12 was good those last couple of years.
How could the Pac-12 be good the last couple of years and then you guys got dissolved? That makes no sense.
Dude, that Pac-12 in 2023 was the shit with Penix, Washington, Oregon, us. There's a couple other teams I'm missing. There were some good teams in that Pac-12 that year.
Was that the same year you guys lost to Tulane the next game in the bowl game?
No, that was the year before. That was
okay.
Oh, yeah, that was the year before. No, that was a year.
That's a completely different story. We were obviously the better team. We got in and we played very close to Georgia. Sadly lost.
Okay. All right. So you think Alabama, they're in no matter what. And Auburn, we're going to hit on Auburn a little bit later. So anything else, or are you ready to move on?
Yeah, Alabama's defense, they're still all right, even though Auburn had really no deep threats. But I hope that this Alabama team can turn it on, have a good game against Georgia, get it down to the fourth quarter, just see what happens. A little bit of madness is never a bad thing on championship weekend.
No, not at all. All right, let's move on, man. In this game, Vandy versus Tennessee.
Ooh.
Dude, Tennessee, like what the I'll tip my hat. To Vandy Pavia. 2 picks throwing the ball, but man, he ran for 165 yards. He did his thing, and I'm not saying he should win the Heisman, but I am saying
he's going to New York.
He's going to New York. He deserves to be in New York. It was a good performance. He deserves to be in New York. Vandy, What did you think with this kind of game? And then next thing I want to ask, college football playoffs. I don't want to see Vandy in there. I want to see Vandy in there.
Them sending Pavia to New York is going to be some sort of consolation prize for this Vandy team because they're 10-2 in the SEC, but you look at their schedule, they don't have the best. They don't have the best resume. They likely will not get in. But I can see those guys have, like, especially the offensive line, being able to get their quarterback into New York, a guy that's been, gosh, just a cocky son of a bitch all year, but then backs it up. That's going to be nice as a Vanderbilt fan to see your team get represented in that sort of limelight. So that's all that they're going to get from awards playoffs perspectives. I don't think they get in. But you saw this game against a really good Tennessee team who has
A
Deshaun
really
Bishop
good
on the ground.
Tennessee offense. A really good Tennessee offense.
Okay, yes. Okay, yes. A good Tennessee offense. Bishop and then Aguilar were fantastic in the first half. You saw them get turnovers on Pavi. I thought that was going to be a big problem after that first half. But then the offense wasn't there in the second half. The defense was the defense per usual. They couldn't stop anything. And Vandy just ran away with this one. And it sucks because I really want Vandy to get in, but they just won't. They don't
Yeah,
have the name brand to get in at 10-2 right now.
no, they're. It's going to be tough, but they're not getting in. They're not getting in. Okay. Next
I
game,
know.
another game that really was about to drive me off the wall because I love this team. I love what they got going. I love Coach Venables. I love Oklahoma. I'm on the bandwagon, literally. But this offense, man, is driving me crazy. Mateer, 2 or 3 turnovers. A couple of them were really bad, but they did just enough. Satania, he's a great player. He always seems to find a way to get in the end zone and making a big play. They cut him loose. Looks like it was like some sort of cover 3 or something. They totally just cut him loose. But
I would. That's the thing. Even with that big play, it's because of a busted coverage. It was nothing to do with the
I know,
the Oklahoma offense.
it's so frustrating, and I just don't see them. I love this defense. I don't see them doing much in the playoffs.
I'm curious if maybe there's some sort of internal problems with the defense and the offense because there were some moments. You had that first pick John Mateer had. They got all the way down to like the 3-yard line, and then they picked it to save them. And
Yeah.
then they had that drive at the end of the game where they had to make a stop, and they did. And the Oklahoma offense, outside of that one Satania touchdown, didn't really do much. So as a defense, of course, you're never going to blame the offense. Those are your guys. Like, you're never going to just throw them under the bus. But I'm just curious, maybe if there's some sort of internal thoughts with those defensive guys, like, okay, like offense, you got to pick it up if we want to win a national championship because you cannot rely on a defense this heavily to go out there and win these games against these solid teams.
Yeah, it seems like Coach Venables. I mean, he's a great coach. So I imagine he's probably told that defense, "You guys got to go out there and win these games right now." And they probably accepted
Mhm.
that role. But man, if we were on that defense, it'd definitely be frustrating. And I mean, especially when you feel like you're playing out there the whole game. It's like get a drive, string a drive together, go do something, to help us out. But dang, I mean, they got bowl season now. How it's not as long as it usually is, probably a couple of weeks, but they're not playing the SEC championship, so they can kind of self evaluate and hopefully they can come up with a better game plan. Okay, last game we're going to talk about Steele. Real quick.
Real quick for you, just the thought because I was thinking about it. Oklahoma, they're usually known for an offense.
Yeah.
So, like, I was just thinking, imagine this Oklahoma defense with a Baker Mayfield, a Kyler Murray, just that kind of late 2010s
Yeah.
offense. This would probably be one of the better teams of all time, in my opinion.
Oh no, 100%. If you
And
had
the timing sucks, but
Lincoln Riley calling the plays and Venables on the defense, those two would be a match in heaven, man. Those two would be a match in heaven.
that would be the best team in all time, in my opinion.
It would be. It would be. Do you think Mateer is like? What do you think the deal is with Mateer? Do you like Mateer? Do you think he's an average player? Do you think he's a really good player? Do you think he's struggling because of the hand? What do you think is going on? Do you think it's the play calling?
It can't be a hand at this point. That was months ago. Might be one of those things where we were overhyping him a little bit to come into the year. I mean, college football had just started. We wanted to find someone to grab onto and say, "Oh, he's the next star,"
Yeah.
and we just sort of picked wrong with Mateer. because he's shown this almost every single week. He hasn't had a full put together game yet ever since coming back from that injury. So
Right.
maybe we just overhyped him a little bit. Still a great guy, still a good football player, just not as good as we thought, and he's just showing signs of struggling a lot more often than we thought.
Yeah, I'm going to hang on to a little bit of hope, and hopefully they go on a playoff run because I do really like them. Okay, let's move on. Just a string of shit, an ACC shit show.
Oh
Duke
God.
with 5 freaking losses is sitting in the ACC championship, which I know you're hyped about because this is your dream scenario, Steele. And then
Yep.
also SMU should be everybody at SMU should just be ashamed of themselves. Cal fires their coach, and you still find a way to give up a boatload of points and lose that game. I mean, that's embarrassing. So ACC, Duke versus Virginia. I hope Virginia wins and gets in, and I like to see them make something happen. Steele, what do you think about this ACC? Because this is just a shitter.
I love it. I love it so much. I wasn't even aware of the situation until I was watching the SMU game late, and the announcer said, "If SMU wins, they get in. If they don't, the Duke team is going to get in." I'm like, "Holy shit!" I thought that situation was over. Turns out it's right in front of me.
You've been bringing that up
And
so much too, Steele. You've been literally
I
praying.
know, I know, but at the end of the day, I get in conference record, but you got to make a change here. Like
Mm-hmm.
for the good of the ACC and the good of football, you cannot have a 7-5 Duke Blue Devils lead the way and represent the ACC whenever you've got Miami, who's starting to turn it on a little bit, just on the back burner. It makes zero sense.
It should be like
Someone
the.
high up,
It needs to be like the
so yeah,
NFL.
someone high up has to change it. They have
Yeah.
to see this matchup right now, realize, especially like from a money point of view, no one's tuning in to watch that. You're already playing at the exact same time as the Big Ten championship. No one's going to watch Virginia play Duke.
Mm.
Someone's got to make a change.
No, I think overall records should matter, like the NFL, But I don't think Alabama should be in over Texas or Ole Miss, Texas A&M or Ole Miss.
Well, Ole Miss now, definitely.
Yeah, well, we're gonna hit on that, but just looking at I think overall records should play a factor in it. Now I know out of conference schedules could be different, so it's
Now, I agree with you, but then in that world, you've got to have teams that are willing to schedule solid non-conference games. Because if you're getting into these championship games because you played nothing but cupcake schedules and you have a better record than let's say Texas. Texas, they played a hard schedule. They went 9-3, and then you've got Vanderbilt at 10-2. Let's say there's a situation where they're both vying in for that spot. If you
yeah.
go just overall record in all games, then you
Then
got to give it to Vanderbilt.
yeah. It's a tough situation. Is
I
it?
know
They
it's
got a
a
lot.
hard thing to.
They got a lot to figure out. I'm just glad we're not in their shoes because I don't know how you fix a lot of this stuff.
Hell,
Okay,
put me in their shoes, man. I want to figure it out for them.
so Miami, what's your thoughts on Miami? 30, they beat Pitt 38-7, I think it was. Notre Dame beat them 38-15. Is that 7-point margin going to be enough? And the 7-point margin on the common opponent and the head-to-head going to be enough for them to jump Notre Dame? I think Notre Dame's getting in.
I think Notre Dame gets in, but they keep making their case stronger and stronger.
Mm.
Because our whole argument leading up to this was Notre Dame's playing much better football than Miami. Miami's been struggling. And then they go up against a solid Pitt team that Notre Dame just played and beat them, maybe by slightly more, but in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't matter. They still beat them pretty handily.
Yeah, same way.
And they've got the same record. So now you go to the eye test. And the eye test, I lean more towards Miami, even though Notre Dame, all they really have, in my opinion, is Jeremiah Love. Defense is really good. Offense is still good. But just overall, Miami doesn't have that one just Heisman-like player that they have to lean on. It's just a squad of guys that are really good. And then they've also got the head-to-head against them, which even though it's the first game of the year, you still kind of have that dangling in the back of your mind. So I think that's probably going to be the biggest spot in the entire selection show, that 10 spot, where it's going to be either Notre Dame, Miami. And I'm really excited to see who they put in
Yeah.
I think we're both on the same page. They're going to go Notre Dame for the money and the brand recognition. But even after that happens, or if it happens, there's going to be a lot of argument that's well deserved for Miami, maybe possibly being in that spot.
Yeah. See, I I hear what you're saying, and I agree, but dude, Louisville and SMU are bad losses.
That's another thing. The losses are bad.
Those are some bad losses, bro.
It's almost, but then Notre Dame losses. If you look at losses, you have those bad losses, and then there you go. You got Miami beating Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And
It's
they're both different teams now, but if you want to pull up losses, then that's going to be everyone's counter argument. Your loss was against us.
yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true, man. That's going to be another tough one, another tough situation. Okay, Steele. You know what? We there is a game. There's two games that I forgot to bring up before we dive into this last part. Real quick, Texas A&M, and Georgia
Mm-hmm.
Tech Friday night. What stood out to you from both of those?
Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Sweet God. You saw what we were talking about all year. If Haynes King doesn't perform well, then they're nothing.
Yeah.
And Haynes King, he had a decent game, but Georgia knew that they just had to really focus on him. And then after that, there was not much else that could hurt him. And that's exactly what happened. The offense, they got Frazier going on the ground really early. The run game looks fantastic. The defense flying around per usual all over Haynes King. He couldn't really do much, especially in the run game. There was almost nothing going there. And they forced him to be a pure passer, which he's all right when once you get into play action and you're not sure if they're running or passing. But whenever you're getting into third and longs and you know he's going to pass it, that's not where he thrives. So
Mhm.
Georgia took advantage of that, got a few picks. Defense was outstanding. Georgia looks outstanding. I think that they can finally break that Alabama curse and go and win this SEC championship, which if I'm a Georgia fan, I don't even know if I want that.
Yeah.
I was kind of happy being at that 5 spot. I'm going to have a game in Athens. I'm going to go play James Madison or Virginia or something. Going to whoop some ass, and I'm going to use this championship weekend as almost a bye week. But now you're going to Atlanta, so you might as well win it. So Georgia's in a really good spot right now.
Yeah, no, Georgia is in a good spot, and if there is a coach I trust with a freaking bye week in the first round to keep his guys ready to roll, it's Kirby Smart for sure. You know he'll have that plan, and man, he's a king of. He dropped another one. They asked him, Steele. They said, well, would you rather not play because the risk of injuries and stuff? And did
I
you hear?
saw that one.
Because if
Mhm.
if you're scared about injuries, scared about this, guess what? You have a scared football team. I mean, Kirby
Yeah,
Smart, dude, that dude's a freaking man. That guy is the man. I love
and
it.
it's true. If you're thinking about injuries while you're playing, you're going to play terribly.
Yeah,
You're gonna be going at half speed, and your mind's gonna be worried and thinking about other things, and you're gonna be making mistakes. You're not gonna be yourself. That's a terrible mindset to go into a game like that.
no, yeah, you can't play scared at all. So Kirby Smart will have those boys ready to play now. And I think Georgia. I think early preview Georgia is going to whoop their ass. But we can get into that more on Thursday.
Mhm.
Texas A&M. Are they frauds, Steele? Is Texas A&M a fraudulent football team?
It's a hard question. They are not frauds because it is a rivalry game. Texas, whenever they turn it on, is a good football team, and Texas decided for some reason to turn it on in the second half. Arch Manning, he looked like the player that a lot of people thought he was going to be coming out of this year, going into Columbus. And then the defense was great. They didn't have their star linebacker, but as a unit, they played fantastic. Marcel Reed, after that first half, he couldn't find his receivers. Maybe also his legs weren't really involved, possibly after that first quarter, whenever he got hurt.
Yeah.
But Texas really took control of this game, controlled the clock the entire time. It seemed like every time they got into a third down, there was no doubt in your mind that they were going to convert.
Yeah.
And this Texas A&M team, even though we talk up their defense a little bit, I kind of noticed some holes in it. Like even in the games prior, but especially in this one, they gave up a lot.
Oh yeah, they gave up a ton. And still, if they didn't learn their lesson from the close, they had to come back against South Carolina. Hopefully, they learned their lesson and a loss. Sometimes a loss can be a blessing in disguise. Do you think that loss is going to be a blessing in disguise, or do you think you noticed the hole? So I'm kind of just re-asking you the question: is Texas A&M a legit total football team, or do you think are they a legit national contender? Are the Texas A&M Aggies a legit national championship contender?
They've always been fringe, but they can definitely win it. They've got the talent for it. And Mike Elko, depending on how he takes this loss and how he kind of translates it to his team, I could see him making a pretty solid run.
Yeah.
There's a good chance they're going to be at Kyle Field for a home game for the playoffs. They'll be playing someone, I imagine, ranked 9, 10, 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
So ranking-wise, they'll have the edge. And on offense, they've got the talent. On defense, they've got some solid guys in the middle and then on the D line, but they have a chance to do it.
Yeah,
This can be a big wake-up call for them.
No, this can be a big wake-up call. And Steele, listen, Arch killed him. Arch killed him, and the next thing you know, once he got scrambling on the ground, you had the safety peeking in the backfield, which is a huge no-no. Scramble rules. You look behind you first. You match the nearest thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have anybody near you, you go get the quarterback. But look behind you first whenever that quarterback's scrambling, because there's usually somebody exiting their route deep and behind.
That could have been something that the defense was struggling with.
Yeah,
because everyone knows that Arch, he's great with his legs, but you haven't really seen Texas utilize that throughout the entire year. So maybe they just weren't prepared for that aspect of it, because he was scrambling all over them. You saw the big touchdown. I think it was a counter or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they were utilizing his legs really well, and then that just opened everything up.
it did.
I mean, you saw once even not him, once the overall run game got going, then the entire offense was just moving. They were just greased up.
You said it. And I fully agree. I like Wisner. Wisner's going to be
Wisner's fantastic.
He's going to be a good NFL back too, for sure.
His one thing is just injuries. That's the whole reason Texas probably is in the playoffs right now. He hasn't been playing. They don't get the run game going. Put it all on Arch, and he just can't handle just a pure aerial attack.
No, 100%. Okay, let's dive into this. That's the end. But let's dive into this coaching carousel, because it's unbelievable. And, of course, the guy we got to start with is Lane Kiffin. Steele, how are you feeling about Mr. Lane Kiffin? How do you the whole situation?
It's a double-edged sword, because you hear Lane Kiffin going to LSU. Oh, gosh, I want my kid to go play with him. He's a fantastic coach, has a great resume. I want to be a Tiger because of Lane Kiffin. And then there are probably other parents and other players in the recruiting process that are thinking, okay, you just left Ole Miss, a place that you built from the ground up, in the middle of their best season of all time, and you went over to their rival that's not that far away, trying to win a national championship for a different team. If I am a father and my son is taking a visit to that program, I'm going to let him walk around. I'm going to let him see Tony the Tiger, whatever his name is, and then we're leaving. I do not want him committing to that man, because I don't trust that man to commit himself to my son and to this team. There would be trust issues for me, because everything you've done for Ole Miss and then leaving in the middle of a season, that doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah, it's kind of, now I don't know what Ole Miss's counter offer or extension or whatever it may be was to him, but I see both sides. I do see both sides here. First off, I want to bring in Curt Cignetti's situation, because here's a guy who's built up Indiana from the ground up in 2 years. He's done it, and he had a chance to. There's a lot of talk about him going to Penn State, a lot of talk about him going to some of these other openings, and he shut it down. He said, "I'm at Indiana. This is where I want to be." They gave him the extension, and that means something to his players. I know that meant something to players, but it means something to me seeing a coach do that at a school like Indiana. Mm-hmm. And so when I look at Lane Kiffin, and Ole Miss isn't a shitbox program. It's not,
No, it's a great program, which is why it's so confusing.
Yeah, it's a great program. So I wish he would have pulled the Curt Cignetti and stay, especially when they're getting ready to go for the playoffs. But at the same time, if he's getting $90 million and $25 million every single year to play with, basically, it's hard to blame him. It's hard to blame him. And at the day I said this, and I think you saw it, Steele. It's like he did what he thought was best for him. So my advice to the players would be, you got to do what's best for you. And some of these coaches don't always, they look out for themselves. And some of these young kids, they get attached to these coaches and they get attached to these programs and will sacrifice it. And Steele, I'm not going to say his name, but this is a situation I wanted to bring up with you. You and I both know a kid who wanted to transfer out of Ohio State, They brought him up in front of the team, talking about what a good team guy he was, this and a brotherhood and this. They convinced him to stay. He stayed. He doesn't play, and next thing you know, he's now in jail. So it's these are lives. So you got to do what's best for you, and it's just a cold business deal. But so it could go either way. It's just a tough situation, and I definitely go ahead.
I can't fault him completely. I mean, again, he's got to do what's best for him and his family.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he made the wrong decision. It's just not the decision I would make. And he made the gesture of saying, "Oh, I want to finish out the year and keep coaching with Ole Miss." I understand from an Ole Miss perspective why you don't do that. That seems weird. Like you've already accepted this LSU job. Why am I going to let you coach Ole Miss and take all the credit for winning possibly a national championship? I would not do that.
Yeah, and
I
like what Ole Miss did, because I mean, I think Ole Miss is a real deal contender. I don't know about you. I think Ole Miss I think Chambliss is really good. I like them making Pete Golding the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's them saying, we like where we're sitting at right now. We think we can go on a little bit of a run here maybe. Let's keep everything intact, and let's have a good bowl prep and just turn this page as quick as possible and kind of get Lane Kiffin. Just get him out. Just get him away. Let's turn this page quick. Do you like Golding hire, or do you wish they kind of looked more long-term and kind of looked around a little bit?
Golding is solid. I think that's a long-term move just because he's already a part of the coaching staff. He's a coordinator. The guys are going to resonate with him, so he's not going to even have to win over the locker room.
Yeah.
But Lane Kiffin's one of those guys where even though he's a head coach, whenever you take him out, that's going to be an immediate impact. I mean, him and Chambliss, they had a true connection on the field, calling plays. He helped him on the sideline with his little whistle thing, making checks and everything. So there's definitely – the offense is not going to be the same.
No.
Is Lane Kiffin at the helm? That's hard to replace.
Yeah,
and
plus he's got such a great, big personality. I mean, that's a
exactly.
That's a big.
I put him, Venables, Coach Day last year. Whenever he was calling the offense, those are all. Even Kirby. I don't know if he calls it defense, but those head coaches that are calling either the offensive or defensive game plans. That's so hard to replace because not only are you losing a leader, you're losing a coordinator.
Yeah,
that's hard.
It is tough. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with the seeding. I'm interested to see if they keep them at 5 or wherever they put them. I
will say one more thing about it. We talked about it earlier. He's made up his mind weeks ago.
Oh, weeks ago. That's so obvious. Oh, you know what? I didn't like, Steele, is with Marty Smith, our guy Marty Smith. Everybody loves Marty Smith, but he asked him, what played into the decision. And he was like, it was a hard decision. I wanted to stay. I'm paraphrasing here. But basically, he's like, but after talking to Coach Carroll, and Coach Saban, he kind of deflected some of the blame. He's just an interesting guy. And this is, and I at the beginning of the year, I hated him. You remember. And then I kind of started to like him. I can't put my finger on him. I don't know if there's just something about him that's very, very weird to me that I can't quite put my finger on. But I don't know if I dislike him, but I don't know if I like him. I don't trust him. I think that's the way to put it. I don't trust him.
I like the guy. I can fully see why people don't trust him after what just happened. But like I said, he's had this made up in his mind weeks ago. If you're going and you're telling your staff and a bunch of your coaches, hey, get on this plane to Baton Rouge right now, and you've got the job over there, there's no way he's asking them within a 24-hour period, hey, move your families and come live with me over here in Louisiana.
Yeah, there's
He told them weeks ahead, gave them an opportunity to maybe set some things right or just get everything in order. But he's known that he was going to be LSU coach for some time, likely just wanted to save face, not make it a big media thing and keep the attention on his players, which is something I do respect.
yeah.
He kept the attention on his team, on his playoff team, and tried
Yeah,
to deflect some of it off of himself.
it just came to the point where he couldn't do it anymore. But he did do a nice job of keeping that distraction outside and getting through the regular season. So you got to give him credit for that.
One more question: did he have to do this, or could he have waited till after the playoffs? Is it some sort of like with a recruiting window where
Yeah,
he had to do it early?
I know they said with the recruiting window, and this is a lot of the problems that we're seeing with college football is the calendar. And now there's the one portal window, there's a big recruiting period. And you've heard Coach Day also talk about this. It puts the teams actually who are winning at a little bit of a disadvantage because if you go deep on a playoff run, you can't really spend all your time recruiting, hitting that transfer portal because you're on a playoff run. And by the time the playoff run's over, the transfer portal and all that stuff's pretty much done. So I know with Ole Miss, they wanted an answer so they can, recruit and get everything they need for the transfer portal. They need a head coach that's going to be there to recruit. So I know it's because of the calendar and how things are shaped up right now.
Yeah, because I've heard Coach Day talk about it. I heard you talk about it in your video, and then I always see Joel Klatt talking about his little thing, making his own calendar. And yeah, that's such a big disadvantage. And I saw it at Ohio State a couple times where they had to focus so much on their recruiting. I mean, not on their recruiting, on just winning a championship that they couldn't pay attention to recruiting. They've got their own players that are thinking about transferring and transferred during that time. And part of you is like, hey, like, I want you to stay. You're an integral part of this program. But at the same time, we've got bigger fish to fry. So we can't really focus on you. If you want to transfer, then go ahead. So that's definitely sort of that's a loophole that a lot of these lower teams are taking advantage of and poaching some of these big time players from these big time programs.
No, 1,000%. Okay, Steele, let's hit these kind of quick. We're running along here, but it's been good. Okay. My two favorite hires. There's been 4 hires in the last day. My 2 favorite we're going to start with right now. Alex Goulash going to Auburn. I really like the guy. He was at Ohio State. He talked about. Dang, I got to look up. I think it might have been Tressel, maybe Urban Meyer.
Tressel?
I know, but that seems long ago. I just saw.
Yeah.
I don't think it is. But I know at some point he was at. Maybe I was dreaming. I got to go back and fact check myself here.
Maybe he was like a 20-year-old GA there. What do you know what position he was?
No, I know he was a young coach. I think he was a GA, but he said some of those guys at Ohio State really helped them. I'll go back and find it, but he credited Ohio State coaches for really helping kind of his mindset and his mentality. And I just think Alex Goulash is going to thrive at Auburn. I really see him doing a good job over there. Steele?
Oh, yeah, he's going to be fantastic.
Okay, there's not too much to talk about there. Now,
did you say he was going to I remember you called him out for getting a job.
I thought
Florida. You thought Florida?
I thought Florida.
Okay. Because I know we've talked about him before as far as this whole coaching carousel this entire year, but I knew you called him out for one job. Yeah,
I thought it was Florida. Now, Summervall. This is another situation, and we got to look into this. These last 2 are similar situations to Lane Kiffin. Summervall, but obviously very different because he's going from Tulane, taking the job at Florida. Everybody blame him for doing that. Did his thing at Tulane, but Tulane's looking for a playoff spot. I don't know if he's coaching at Tulane. Maybe Tulane tells him he can coach there. But I'm sure Florida's going to want him, so I have to look more into that. But what do you think about that? Good hire?
Good hire, and it's a completely different situation because that's a clear step up. Where Lane, you can almost argue that it's almost a sideways job hire. Right. So you cannot turn down that Florida job whenever you're coaching at Tulane, and you might go to the playoffs, but you're likely going to get that 12 spot, and you're going to go up against an absolute monster at the 5 spot, whoever it is.
A monster.
So of course, like, you want to be there with your team. Those are your guys that you've been with for how many years he's been there. But do I take this dream job opportunity at Florida, probably one of the best jobs in all of college football, or do I stick with Tulane and get my ass beat in the playoffs for one game?
Yeah, I'm bouncing.
I'm leaving.
Thank you, Tulane. I'll see you. I'll see
Mhm.
you probably never again unless I play against you. Okay, and then the last one, Bob Chesney. I like that name. Hopefully, I'm saying it
Love
right.
Chesney.
JMU. Saw Signetti take the JMU train up, bounce, and look what he's doing. Bob Chesney takes over, keeps the JMU train rolling, and now he now he's bouncing to UCLA. And Steele, I'll hit on this. Just being out here, I I don't think I would want the UCLA job. I don't think it's a job you can really succeed at.
UCLA feels like one of those teams in the Power Four that they could cancel their football program at any time.
I know it just seems like I know the NIL is kind of struggling. Kind of talking to some guys over there. It's a great historic program. It's a great traditional program, but just with kind of the modern stage of college football. I mean, USC's got all the resources in the world, and it's right down the street. You're not winning.
Yeah.
You're not going to win those recruiting battles. I just UCLA is a job. Nobody goes to the games. They're not even playing in the Rose Bowl anymore. Still, they used to always play in the Rose Bowl. This is their last year playing at the Rose Bowl. They're playing at SoFi now. I, I wouldn't
They're
touch
playing
it.
it. They're playing at SoFi.
They're playing at SoFi.
That big ass stadium. They're gonna
Yes,
fill it with what 2,000 people every single
literally,
week.
literally 2,000
That's
people.
gonna look. That's gonna look so
The
bad.
Rose Bowl is beautiful. It's up in the mountains. We played in it. The freaking SoFi. It's a beautiful stadium, but it's in wherever it's at. It's just I wouldn't want to coach at UCLA. I wouldn't. That wouldn't entice me to leave JMU. Would
Yeah.
you leave
I.
JMU for it?
It's a step up. One thing that I find really interesting is now JMU has found a much easier path into the playoffs.
Yeah,
With now Duke being in the ACC championship, if they win and then JMU wins the Sun Belt, they are
yeah,
likely going to be the higher ranked team, and then they get that automatic bid.
yeah. They get into it, which
So
would be
that
insane.
now again, Chesney won't be a part of it, but that's just an interesting thing I got from that. But the
Yeah,
UCLA job, I wouldn't be too excited from getting it. Of course, it's still Power Four head coach. Like I'm
yeah.
taking it,
Congratulations. Yeah, it's
but
just
it's
a tough situation. It's not. I just worry because if he goes there and struggles, then maybe he has to go back down. It just kind of it's a risk, but credit to him. If he does do something with it, then he's going to be the hottest name out there in a couple years. And another one too, I hate it, and I'm so pissed. Two real quick, Steele, that I hate it.
Mhm.
Mora leaving UConn to go to Colorado State. UConn hasn't been good ever. He gets some like 9 wins or whatever it was, does his thing. He probably could have stuck around UConn another year and bounced to a really, really good school if he did. Because UConn's terrible. If you're winning at UConn, you're the man. Jim Mora's already established named. And
Mhm.
then the second one is North Texas coach. I brought him up. Remember I said he was a QB guru. We talked about it
Yes.
for a while. He leaves and goes to Oklahoma State, and I view Oklahoma State kind of in the same category as UCLA, where it's going to be tough to kind of build something there now. What do you think
Yeah.
about that too?
Oklahoma State isn't as bad as UCLA because in the past 5 years they've had a little spurts of greatness. That's whenever they had God, that's whenever they had who was the linebacker? I'm blanking on him.
I'm blanking on. I don't know.
Jacob no, not Jacob Rodriguez. It was a Rodriguez Malcolm Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Linebacker there with Jim Knowles. That duo was unreal. He had like
Oh yeah,
170
I
tackles
always
that year.
Knowles was. They were this
Yeah,
close to the playoffs too. Remember?
quite literally 1 inch against Baylor.
It's always an
Yeah,
inch.
so
It's
they've
always.
had a little bit, yeah, they've had a little bit of more success than UCLA. I can't think of any moment in my lifetime where UCLA was a true powerhouse. So it's different, but I understand where you're coming from. Oklahoma State had a terrible year this year. Pretty sure they're one of the worst teams in all of the Power Four.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's all this coaching stuff. In most years, like some of these lower moves would be much bigger, but you have Auburn, Penn State, Florida, LSU, all these other jobs that are so much higher on the pedestal compared to like a Colorado State job or a UCLA job, and they kind of get diminished because you've got other guys from smaller schools somehow getting these massive jobs. So
Yeah.
I don't want to diminish any of these guys getting these head coaching
Oh,
jobs
yeah, no,
because
no.
those guys between being GAs, being position coaches, they have really just climbed that ladder that's so fucking hard to do. And the fact that they're getting any head coaching jobs at these schools is really impressive to me.
Still, and you bring it. You know what? You do bring up a fantastic point because as players, we always side with the players, but people always ask, and I'm sure you get asked this too. Do you want to get into coaching? Do you want to be a coach? The outside world, they don't understand what it takes to be a college football or NFL player, and they certainly don't understand what it takes to be a college football coach or an NFL coach. I mean, you're basically bitch boy for a couple years
Yeah.
at a good school. Then you're down in the middle of nowhere, Louisiana or South Louisiana or whatever as a position coach. Then you're at Oklahoma, back down. It's no stability. It's bouncing around. And those coaches who do make it to the top and do a good job, I mean, that you got to give them all the credit in the world because that is a real grind.
Yeah, a couple things. Yeah, one, respect to the GAs. I mean, those guys do so much work in any facility that they're in. Two, I think we both have the knowledge to be coaches at some point, but like you said, just the stability, not knowing where you're going to go, having to go to freaking North Dakota to be a GA or an assistant linebacker or safety coach for a couple years and just kind of go off the map. That's such a hard lifestyle. And then, like you said, having to be that bitch boy, I don't think our pride could deal with that at all. Having to
The
get yelled at by some freaking washed up head coach over in Montana State. Not Montana State. I'm sorry for saying that. But yeah, just say Montana State and some coach is screaming at me like respectfully, I've been screamed at by Coach Day. I don't give a fuck what you're saying to me right now.
exactly.
So having to go through that whole process, it's insane that people do it, but so much respect to him. I know old Toby, if you remember him, is
Yeah,
doing that
no,
right now. He just got O-line job over at I'm forgetting the school,
it was Herbie hit on that
but
one.
he just got a big O-line job.
That's awesome. No, he's
Yeah,
going to be a good coach, and he's the kind of guy who can withstand that type of stuff. He's going to be a big coach, Toby Wilson.
he's gonna be really good. It's in his blood.
It's in his blood. Yeah, it's in his blood. All right, Steele. That wraps it up, man. This is a long one, a good one, though. You got anything else?
No, man, I'm about to go walk on the beach and eat some pizza.
Oh, my God. You just continue to live the life, man.